Derrick White has been a key piece for the Boston Celtics' success this season. Seemingly offensively and defensively, he has been fantastic. And with the Celtics wanting to extend him this offseason, it is going to be a challenge amidst extending Jayson Tatum along with Jaylen Brown's contract extension last offseason. Will the Boston Celtics be able to get it done? Will they be able to extend Derrick White? We'll be looking at all of that and more in this episode of Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Velez. Before we dive in, before we get into all of this news, if you guys do want to enjoy the content, hit that like button and we'd greatly appreciate it. Without further ado, though, let's dive into the topic at hand today. And like I mentioned, we are going to be breaking down a Derrick White possible extension, looking at all the possibilities with him coming back to this Celtics squad. Now, if we want to look at this here, we can see from this article from Eric J. Santos, Derrick White is reportedly wanting to seek a contract extension from the Celtics over this off season. And it was, discussed this previous offseason, a contract extension with Derrick White, but it did not happen. Now with his, abundance in performance in stats and also, making the all defensive team and stuff like that, it is seemingly making sure that he is going to want to stay locked up and long term with this Celtics squad. If we look at this article, we can see that Derrick White has proven to be a key role player for the Boston Celtics. And this season, the 6'4" guard has averaged 15.2 points, 5.2 assists, and 4.2 rebounds per game, with 1 assist and or 1 steal and 1 block as well. His defensive efforts have earned him a second straight NBA All Defensive Second Team selection, and his current 4-year, $70 million contract expires at the end of the 24-25 season. He is set to earn $20 million in his final year. Now, Derrick White, according to Mark Stein, who is reporting this news, wants to seek a contract extension with the Celtics in this upcoming offseason, expressing that obviously Boston would love to keep its starting five together for the long term, going it obviously increasingly difficult due to the fact that it will get expensive for Brad Stevens and the Celtics ownership to maintain this team. When Jayson Tatum signs his, $315 million contract extension after Jaylen Brown has secured his nearly $290 million extension last summer, we also have to factor that Derrick White, according to league sources, will be seeking a contract extension this summer. Now, obviously, White, uh, while it may be challenging for Boston's front office to be likely to attempt to extend White's contract past 2025, the Celtics' so far dominant NBA Finals appearance creates an urgency to retain their current pieces. Just kind of going back into that and kind of discussing the news that we have here. Obviously, Derrick White would love to remain in Boston and would like to stay with this squad. If we want to look at, this piece here from Sam LaFrance on Celtics blog, does a fantastic job on How About Them Celtics. He wrote about this as well. And in his quote, he had a quote here from Derrick White saying that Derrick White loves being here in Boston. I love the fans and I love the crowd, just being part of this city, and he tries to embrace it as much as he can. He's always thankful and grateful to be a part of this organization and play in front of this crowd. And once again, he's remained, like we said from that article from Sam France. Thank you for providing that fantastic work. But going into detail, talking about how the Celtics and Derrick White would like to stay together. Brad Stevens obviously wants to keep this team together. Like Grusbeck at the beginning of the season said that he would like to be able to keep this team together. He knows it's going to get expensive. And obviously, with the extensions, with Jaylen Brown last offseason, Jayson Tatum going to get his $315 million contract extension. And as we've seen over the last year, Kristaps Porziņģis get traded and sign a contract extension on $30 million for 3 years, and Jrue Holiday seemingly doing the same thing as well. That is going to be tough for the Celtics books. Now, luckily, if we want to look at, the Celtics cap space here, we can see from this that obviously Holiday, Porziņģis, Brown, Tatum, they're all locked up, but Derrick White needs that contract extension, but he is not available to be a free agent this year, which is huge for this Boston Celtics team. You want to be able to make sure that you can be able to work through this through the off season, and then if you can't get in the off season, at least you still have free agency to get something done. Now, I do believe that the Celtics, again, will want to keep Derrick White. Derrick White wants to stay here. And why wouldn't you want to keep a key guy like Derrick White? He's been huge for the Celtics' success so far in the playoffs. Really been standout in that Miami series, coming to life, helping out the Celtics in that second half in game 3. Obviously, having the white hot game 4 and into game 5, which he really, really was great. And then in Cleveland and versus Indiana, yes, he had some performances where he didn't shoot the greatest compared to Miami in that game's a stretch, but fantastic defense. Even in last night's game in game 2, came up clutch versus this Dallas Mavericks squad alongside Jrue Holiday. And I'm telling you, he is worth the money. Now, when it gets to what kind of contract extension will they be offering Derrick White, that is a key question. Because, like we mentioned, Jaylen Brown's going to be making around $50 million. Tatum's going to be making around that $50 to $60 million. Then you have Jrue Holiday and Kristaps Porziņģis making 30. That is a round, let me do the quick maths here, $170 million. Now, obviously, the salary cap is going to increase year by year, and the Celtics are going to have to be in that luxury tax if they're going to want to keep this starting 5. But I could see Derrick White getting, obviously, something a little north of his $18 to $20 million that he's going to be making next season, something closer to that $30 million range, something similar to around where Jrue Holiday makes. In my honest opinion, I think that Derrick White was snubbed of making the All-NBA defensive first team, and he should have been retrospectively been a part of that team alongside Alex Caruso. Unfortunately, since it went positionless, that was the rule that had to happen, and they put forwards and wings in there. But in my honest opinion, I think that Derrick White deserved that. If we want to look at, Derrick White's stats, excuse me, I hit the wrong button, but here we go. We can look at his stats. 15 points per game, like we mentioned, 4.2 rebounds, 5.2 assists on 1.2 blocks and 1 steal per game. This man is electric. He is efficient. He is a clutch three-point shooter, and we've seen him come to life again in the playoffs, in first series, in game 2, but also in the regular season. One game that I can remember off the top of my head, it versus the Pelicans in January. Go back, check that game. He was phenomenal on, not that many fouls, not that many turnovers per game either. On 46% shooting from the field, 40% from three-point range, where he shoots 42% from corner threes, 80% of his threes are assisted on, and 59% of his shots are three-point makes. This man has been killing it for the Celtics squad. And once I mentioned, if he's not going offensive, if he can't get his shot to go, because let's be real here, Derrick White can be that second guy, that third guy on some nights, but consistently, he is a fourth to fifth option on the offensive side for you on a championship winning team. But if he can remain that and sometimes have his nights where he can be that second or third scorer for this team offensively, it is huge. But there's nights also where Derrick White, once again, is fantastic on the defensive side. If his shot's not going in, he clamps up, gets 3 to 4 blocks, 2 to 3 steals, and we saw that also in effect in game 2 when he got that basically game-sealing block alongside Jaylen Brown on PJ Washington down the end of the stretch. So like I mentioned, guy like Derrick White, I think, is worth it, regardless of how the tax bill is going to look, regardless of how north and expensive this team is going to be. If you want to build a championship, if you're going to want to have a contending team, it's going to have to get expensive. Like we mentioned, let's take one look back at this payroll. Obviously, Holiday, Tatum, Brown, Porziņģis, they're all going to be making, 30, 50, $60 million. It's going to get expensive. 170 million right there. If you add Derrick White, that's around 200 mil. I don't expect Al Horford to be with this team for after this next contract. So regardless if he retires, if the Celtics do win a ring, if the Celtics do not win this season and he retires next year, or even if they do win and he retires after next season, they'll have some freed up money over on there to help out in some flexibility, even with extending Derrick White. Obviously, Sam Hauser's on a club option, but they got guys like Xavier Tillman who they can extend with bird rights. Luke Cornett's a free agent, so we'll have to see where he goes. And a bunch of other small, movable contracts that they can use some flexibility if they have to trade, one or two guys on draft night to free up some cap space to have that flexibility to be able to extend Derrick White. Ultimately, I know that Brad Stevens wants to get this done. Derrick White wants to remain here. Come on, he was in that Sam Adams commercial. He definitely wants to stay here. He wants to be loyal to the Bostonians. His dad is a riot on Twitter, talking, being rambunctious, really, really showing his support and his love for the city of Boston as well. So I'm sure that the Celtics, Brad Stevens, they will get something done and they will work something out to make sure and ensure that Derrick White is locked up here long term, regardless of how much the price bill is going to cost. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Let me know your guys' opinions down below on this whole Derrick White situation. If you guys could extend him, how long would you extend him for and for the money point? Before we head out, as you guys know, we have to get to the comment of the day. So drop down those comments down below so we can figure out what you guys want to be talking about and so you can be featured for comment of the day. Today's comment of the day is coming from our guy El Migos 25. Shout out to El Migos. He said, two more. Let's go, Celtics. And exactly going to my next point, two more games left for the Boston Celtics here to get this championship. I know that there obviously could be, more games in the series, but if the Celtics were to lose the championship, they would have to go 1-4 in their next five. I don't see that happening, regardless if Porziņģis is playing. Regardless if Porziņģis is not playing, may not be able to get the sweep, but I do suspect 5 or 6 games for the Celtics to have this series, and I'm hoping so. Let me know what you guys think down below. If you guys enjoy the content, enjoy what you guys saw here, come by tonight. We're going to have another live watch along for Game 3 of the Mavericks and Celtics finals. Should be absolutely fantastic. We'll be watching along, having a good time. Come by, join us, hang out with us. Again, you enjoy the content, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We greatly appreciate it over here on Celtics Digest, trying to get into that algorithm. Appreciate every single one of you. Once again, peace out. Have a great rest of your day, and go Boston Celtics.